A coworker who always took long breaks suddenly shouted, "Why do I have to work late? Give me your shift." When I refused, she stormed into our boss's office screaming, "She's sabotaging me." Moments later, security arrived, but they weren't looking at me. Let me tell you about the time a lazy coworker tried to pin her crap on me, lost her mind in the middle of the office, and thought she could get me fired. She ended up getting security involved. It didn't end the way she planned. This isn't a short story. This is the kind of thing that builds over time. And I had time. I work at a logistics company in Chicago. Not a huge place, but not small either. Somewhere in that middle gray area where there are enough people that problems can hide for a while before they boil over. The work isn't fancy. It's mostly tracking orders, answering clients, updating systems, and making sure nothing falls through the cracks. It's not hard, but it does require focus and follow-through. That's where Rhonda, not her real name, had problems. Rhonda joined the team around the same time I did. We were supposed to be equals. Same role, same training. But that's where the similarities ended. From day one, Rhonda figured out how to disappear. She'd take her first bathroom break within an hour of clocking in and would be gone for 30 to 40 minutes. Then lunch. Then another, walk to clear her head. Then she'd leave early sometimes without telling anyone. Nobody really said anything to her. People grumbled about it, but nothing stuck. And to be honest, I didn't care much at first. I figured, hey, maybe she's going through something. Maybe she's just bad at time management. But the problem wasn't just that she disappeared. It's that she stopped doing her job. It started with little things. She'd ping me on Slack with messages like, "Hey, I couldn't finish this customer request. Can you just shoot them an email real quick? I forgot to update this file. Can you fix it and add a note for me?" At first, I helped. Because that's what you do, right? We're a team. But then it became constant. Every week. Then every day. Then multiple times a day. And when I said no, she'd get weird. Cold. Passive-aggressive. She'd act nice in front of everyone else, but when it was just us, she was straight up rude. She rolled her eyes when I asked her to finish her part of a shared task. She pretended not to hear me in meetings. Then she started trying to assign me her work without asking. She'd mark a task as reassigned to me in the system and then tell our boss it was already handled. And if it didn't get done, she'd say I dropped the ball. I caught on quick. I started pushing back. Quietly at first. Just correcting the system, leaving comments that made it clear I hadn't agreed to take it. But she kept doing it. This went on for weeks. And I knew if I didn't protect myself, she'd eventually throw me under the bus. So I started keeping notes. I saved every Slack message. I screenshotted her system changes. I made a folder on my desktop and named it Rhonda Receipts. Every time she tried to dump something on me, it went in there. I logged my work. I wrote down the times she left the office. I even saved the timestamps from when she clocked in late or left early. It wasn't just petty, it was necessary. Because the vibe was shifting and she was getting bold. Now here's where things got crazy. It was a Friday. Cold, gray, February type of Chicago Friday. Everyone was in a mood. Half the team was out sick, so it was just a skeleton crew. Rhonda was supposed to work until 4 p.m. I was scheduled until 6 p.m. At 3:40, she wandered back and after being gone for over an hour. No explanation. She walked straight up to my desk, didn't even say hi, and said, "I'm not staying late today. I've got a nail appointment. You need to cover for me." Just like that. No question. No, can you help? Just a demand. I looked up from my screen and said, "No. I've got plans." She blinked at me like I'd slapped her. "What the hell do you mean no? I always help you." I laughed. Out loud. Not to be rude, I just couldn't believe she said that. I said, "Rhonda, I've been cleaning up after you for months. I'm not doing it anymore." That's when she snapped. She slammed her hand down on the side of my desk. "You've been sabotaging me. You're trying to make me look bad. You think you're so perfect." People started turning around in their chairs. I stayed calm. I didn't move. I said, "I'm doing my work. You're the one who keeps skipping out." That's when she stormed off. Loud heels, stomping, muttering under her breath. She marched right into our manager Neil's office without knocking. I heard yelling through the wall. "She's targeting me. She's messing with my work. She's jealous." Neil came out of the office looking pissed. I sat there, hands folded, quiet. Then the weirdest thing happened. Neil picked up the phone, made a call, and said just one sentence. "We need security on 12. Now." 5 minutes later, 2 guys from building security showed up. Big dudes. Professional, not aggressive. Calm. Everyone froze. People started whispering. Rhonda was standing in the hallway with her arms crossed like she was waiting for someone to drag me out. But that's not what happened. One of the security guards walked right past me. Didn't even glance my way. He looked straight at Rhonda. Ma'am, we need you to come with us. Her face dropped. She turned to Neil and said, Wait, what? No, she's the one. But they didn't listen. They didn't touch her, just stood there until she followed them. She was still yelling as she walked down the hall. Now I didn't see everything that happened next, but I got filled in later, from someone in HR and a very tired-looking Neil. Turns out Rhonda had been messing up badly. Like, costing the company money badly. She'd closed several support cases that were never handled. One client lost a shipment worth tens of thousands because she marked something resolved while she was on one of her fake breaks. The client complained, but no one knew where the problem started. So Neil and IT started digging. That's why Neil looked so tired lately. He'd spent days combing through system logs. And what did they find? Rhonda had been backdating entries, closing tickets without writing anything and reassigning tasks to other people, mostly me, without telling them. The system audit showed she did this dozens of times. But the final straw? She tried to cover her tracks by deleting records. Not knowing IT could see every change. So after Rhonda was escorted out by security, things went kind of quiet. Not peaceful quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like a storm's coming. Nobody really said anything for the rest of the day. People stayed at their desks. Neil shut his door. I kept doing my work, pretending like I wasn't on fire inside. I had no idea what would happen next. Would she be fired? Suspended? Would she come back Monday like nothing happened? I didn't have to wait long. Monday morning, I walked into the office early. I always do that, get settled, drink bad coffee, breathe a little before things get loud. I was at my desk, scrolling through some customer logs, when I saw something that made my stomach twist. Rhonda's name popped up in our internal system. Rhonda, logged in at 7:42 a.m. What? I froze. She wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't on the schedule. She got taken out of the building 3 days ago. I got up, walked over to Neil's office, door was open, lights off. No sign of him. Then I saw her. She was standing near the printer, wearing the same smug look she always had when she thought she'd won something. She looked right at me. Miss me? I didn't say a word. The tension was instant. People didn't even pretend to be okay with it. I heard whispers all morning. Why is she here? Didn't they fire her? But no one had answers. Not even me. Neil came in around 9. The second he saw her, he stopped walking. Stared for a second. Then he turned right back around and walked into HR. He didn't come out for almost an hour. Rhonda, meanwhile, acted like nothing happened. She tried to talk to people. No one responded. She sat at her desk and clicked around like she was doing something. But I could tell. She was watching me. At 10:15 a.m., we all got an email from HR, subject line, clarification regarding employee status, temporary reinstatement. The email said Rhonda was temporarily reinstated pending investigation due to a potential procedural misstep when security removed her. Basically, some paperwork didn't get signed. HR had to follow protocol before making it official. She was technically still employed. For now. But it didn't end there. The email also said that all parties involved would be interviewed over the next few days, and no one should discuss the situation during work hours. That was the part that hit me. They were treating this like he said, she said. Even with all the proof. Even after everything. On Tuesday, I was called into HR, small room. 2 people. Clipboards. They asked me to walk them through everything from the first time Rhonda dumped work on me to the meltdown on Friday. I told them the truth. I even opened the folder on my phone labeled Rhonda Receipts and scrolled through screenshots, logs, and Slack messages. They barely looked. One of them asked, "Is there a reason you were collecting these?" I blinked. To protect myself. I knew she'd try to throw me under the bus. She nodded slowly but didn't say anything. Then they dropped this. Rhonda claims she has evidence you manipulated the internal task system to make it look like she wasn't working. I laughed. Out loud. They didn't. I said, if I was messing with the system, why would she assign her tasks to me? They didn't answer. They just said, we'll review everything. Please don't discuss this with anyone. Wednesday morning, my system login was locked. I couldn't access my dashboard. No emails. No customer files. No nothing. I thought it was a glitch, but then IT called me. We were asked to temporarily suspend your access during the ongoing investigation. I sat there stunned. You're suspending me? It's not disciplinary, they said. It's just procedure while HR reviews conflicting reports. Rhonda still had full access. She was logged in. I could see her badge swipe into the building that morning. So let me get this straight. She fakes work, lies about me, gets caught, screams in the office, gets taken out by security, and I get suspended? I didn't want to play dirty, but now it was serious. If they were putting me under investigation based on her lies, I wasn't going to sit back. I called a friend of mine who works in employment law. Told him everything. Sent him the files I had. He said, if they try to fire you over this, they're opening themselves up to a massive lawsuit. Keep records of everything. Email timestamps. Who said what? Even this phone call. I started saving copies of my login history, email records, badge swipes. Everything. I wasn't just covering my back anymore, I was getting ready to fight. By Friday, people were getting uncomfortable. Rhonda started acting like she was in charge. Telling coworkers what to do. Deleting comments from shared task logs. Calling customers herself, even when they weren't assigned to her. She even sent an email to our department list saying, some of you should stop worrying about what others are doing and focus on your own work. Thinly veiled jab. Everyone knew who it was aimed at. One coworker, let's call her Sarah, finally snapped. She told Neil everything. That Rhonda had cornered her in the break room, said I was trying to take her job, and told her to choose sides. Neil went straight to HR again. That same day, I got a surprise call. Can you come in Monday for a final interview with HR, IT, and a company legal advisor? No explanation. Just that. Rhonda got escorted out by security after accusing me of sabotaging her. She somehow returned on a technicality. Then I got suspended from system access, even though she was the one who caused the mess. I had a meeting scheduled for Monday morning with HR, IT, and one of the company's lawyers. And I had no idea what I was walking into. Monday came. I showed up early. Dressed clean. Brought a USB drive with my logs and screenshots. I wasn't going to be caught off guard. They called me in at 9:03 a.m. There were 3 people, the HR rep, an IT manager, and a company legal advisor I'd never met. They all had folders in front of them. No smiles. HR opened. We appreciate you coming in. We need to ask about a few inconsistencies we've found in the task management system. I said, sure. What kind of inconsistencies? Then they dropped the twist I didn't see coming. There are task logs showing you accessed and modified files linked to Rhonda's assignments during hours when you were not logged in. What? I sat back in my chair, stunned. I never did that. I only accessed what was on my schedule. They slid a printout across the table. It showed login activity for my account at 2:17 a.m. on a Sunday. Files opened, tasks marked completed, notes deleted. I said, that's not possible. I was asleep. I don't even have remote access at home. IT chimed in. We traced it to an IP outside the office. But it was your login. I asked for the IP address. They gave it to me. I pulled out my phone, ran it through an IP locator app. It wasn't mine. It was registered to an apartment complex across the city, not even close to where I live. I looked at the HR rep and said, so either someone hacked my login or someone used my credentials to set me up. They didn't say anything. They just scribbled notes. When I walked out of that room, I felt sick. Someone was using my login. And not just once. Later that day, a coworker, let's call him Danny, came over to me in the parking lot. He looked uncomfortable. I don't want to get in the middle of anything, he said, but you should know something. He told me that 2 weeks earlier, he saw Rhonda sitting at my desk while I was out sick. He thought it was weird, but assumed I gave her permission to grab something. I didn't. That same week, our IT guy had reset everyone's passwords as part of routine security updates. We were told to write them down in our team notebooks temporarily until we could store them in the password manager. Guess where my notebook was? In my locked drawer, which Rhonda somehow opened. Danny didn't think much of it at the time. But now? Now it made sense. She got my login. She'd been accessing the system as me, from somewhere else, and tampering with tasks, making it look like I was interfering with her work. I asked Danny if he'd be willing to tell HR. He hesitated. She already threatened someone else for talking. That same day, Sarah, the coworker who Rhonda tried to intimidate in the break room, emailed me. She said she told HR everything. How Rhonda pressured her to back up the sabotage story. How she tried to scare her into silence. Sarah said Rhonda told her, if you say anything, I'll make it look like you were in on it too. They'll believe me before they believe you. So Sarah went straight to Neil. And Neil had gone straight to HR again, this time with timestamps, messages, and a full written report. That was on Friday. Over the weekend, someone broke into the supply room. Guess what was missing? One of the old office key sets that hadn't been reissued yet. By midweek, I was called in again. This time it wasn't HR. It was Neil. His face looked like he hadn't slept in 2 days. He shut the door and said, we pulled footage from the server room. From the day those logs were changed. Rhonda had always claimed she never used anyone else's desk. Never logged in from someone else's machine. But Neil showed me a paused frame on his laptop. Timestamp, Saturday, 6:13 p.m. Image, Rhonda, alone in the office. Sitting at my desk. Pulling something from the drawer. There was no reason for her to be there. She wasn't on call. She wasn't scheduled. No one else was in the building. The footage was just sitting there, untouched, until IT dug deeper. I thought this would be the end of it. That they'd finally see she'd lied, schemed, and tried to take me down. But she wasn't done yet. The next morning, everyone in the department got an anonymous email from a burner address. It was a leak. It had screenshots, real ones, from private customer cases. Names, phone numbers, shipping issues. It claimed the company was covering up errors and protecting lazy employees. The email blamed me. Said I'd been hiding incompetence and that I was part of a toxic office culture targeting women. Everyone knew it was Rhonda. But now it wasn't just an HR issue. It was a legal one. Now here's how it all blew up and finally ended. Rhonda wasn't done after trying to hack into my system, forge logs, gaslight the whole team, and leak fake info to the department. She wanted one last move. But she didn't know someone was watching her the whole time. After that burner email went out accusing me of hiding incompetence and bullying female coworkers, things went sideways fast. Legal got involved. An outside IT firm was brought in. And suddenly, the office didn't feel like an office. It felt like a courtroom. Quiet. Cold. Eyes darting. Everyone knew it was her. But no one said it. Then came the meeting. HR scheduled a department-wide clarification session. That was their word, clarification. But it wasn't a session. It was a bomb. We were all called into the main conference room. Every single one of us. Neil was there. Legal was there. The head of HR was there. Even the regional director flew in. Rhonda walked in last. She wore this overconfident smile like she knew she had something planned. She sat right across from me. Didn't break eye contact once. Then the regional director stood up. We're here today to close out an internal issue that has gone beyond protocol. What's said in this room stays in this room. But it needs to be said. Silence. Then a laptop was connected to the big screen. And they played the security footage. There it was. Rhonda. After hours. At my desk. Opening my drawer. Taking out my team notebook. She stopped smiling. Then they showed login data from the stolen credentials, matched to a Wi-Fi signal in her apartment complex. She blinked. Fast. Then they dropped the final nail. Metadata from the burner email. Created on a device linked to her office login. On a Saturday. The room went dead quiet. Then Rhonda did something no one expected. She stood up. Hands shaking. Then started shouting. This isn't what it looks like. I was set up. She's been trying to get rid of me since day one. You're all blind. You just eat up whatever she feeds you. She pointed at me. You think she's innocent? She's been collecting dirt on me for months. Obsessively. Who does that unless they're trying to take someone down? Neil stood up. She was protecting herself. Because you were cornering her. Rhonda turned to Neil. You don't even like her. You think she's a know-it-all. You told me that at the bar. Gasps. I looked at Neil. His face went pale. Neil didn't deny it. And now the whole room had something new to digest. He'd been talking about me behind my back. Maybe he never liked me either. Maybe Rhonda just weaponized it. Rhonda turned to Sarah next. And you. You're just mad because I told you the truth. You're weak. You follow the crowd. Sarah stood up and said, clear and loud. No. I just stopped following you. At that point, HR asked Rhonda to step out of the room. She refused. 2 security guards came in, same ones from before. Rhonda didn't scream this time. She just looked at all of us like she couldn't believe we turned on her. Like she still thought she was the victim. As she walked past me, she said softly, you don't deserve this job. I didn't respond. But for the first time in months, I felt calm. HR confirmed she was fired. This time for real. Not just fired, blacklisted. Her actions violated so many policies, including data abuse and harassment, that legal said she was unrehirable across any of the company's partner networks. Neil got a written warning. Apparently, he had complained about me in private, but didn't take any action against me. Just petty venting. Still, it made people look at him differently. He apologized. Not publicly. Just a quiet, awkward email. I let a lot of things slide. I didn't believe what I should have. I'm sorry. Sarah and Danny both got thank you emails from HR. I did too. But even with Rhonda gone, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like, wait, Rhonda didn't just lie about me. She broke something in the office. The sense of safety. Of trust. Every time the copier jammed, people looked at each other sideways. Every, hey, can you help with this? Came with a pause. And me? I still log everything. I don't think I'll ever stop. Not because I expect another Rhonda, but because I know how fast things can flip. People can smile to your face and set you up behind the scenes. People can shake your hand and read your notebook when you're sick. I didn't quit. I thought about it. But in the end, I stayed. I worked too hard to let someone like that push me out. They offered me a promotion. I turned it down. I just wanted peace. Sometimes I still sit at my desk and stare at the drawer where I kept that notebook. I don't use it anymore. Now I keep my passwords in my head. I don't trust the drawer. I don't trust the silence. But I trust myself now. I know I won't be caught off guard again. Final thought? If you're reading this and dealing with someone like her, keep records. Keep calm. Be boring, be precise, and be ready. Because sometimes revenge doesn't look like a trap. Sometimes it just looks like the truth. And when the truth shows up, it speaks louder than any scream.